enough with that, you know, love fest on the infiltrators. We've got Sakaran Rust Stalkers. They are built from the same kit as the infiltrators. Weapon skill, or excuse me, power 4. Movement 8, the same. Weapon skill, ballistic skill 3. Strength 4. Toughness 3. 2 wounds. 3 attacks, so they get an extra attack over the infiltrators. Leadership 6, 7, and save 4. So these have 1 more attack, which is good because they don't have the exploding taser goads, right? So with using the same stratagems on them, they could be up to 4 attacks, 5 attacks on the Princeps, and again base strength 5 if you wanted to. Base, they come with a Cord Claw and the Transonic Razor. So let's take a look. The Cord Claw, strength user, -1 damage, and then you get an additional attack with this weapon. So you don't have to do your base attacks with the Cord Claw. You could do your base attacks with the Transonic Razor if you want, which probably makes sense because the Transonic Razor is just better. So you would do 1 attack with the Cord Claw, and then you do 3, or if you spend the stratagem, 4 attacks with your Transonic Razor, which is strength user. And again, if you spend the CP, you get them 5. And if you have the right canonical, they could be strength 6 at -2 1 damage. And then each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified wound roll of a 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound on the target in addition to any normal damage. So you've got mortal wound potential here with those attacks. Now you won't have as many hits as you will with the tasers because they explode, but mortal wounds have an extreme value of their own if you're going against stuff with a very good invulnerable save. So that's a great choice. Now you can switch out the Cord Claw and the Transonic Razor with the Transonic Blades. Now the Transonic Blades give you +1 strength, -3 AP, and 1 damage. And then they also inflict a mortal wound on a wound roll of a 6, in addition to other damage. So for me, I would probably just go with the Transonic Blades. You don't get the extra attack that you do with the Cord Claw, but that -3 and +1 strength is big. So you may not need to spend those extra CP and may not need to rely on the canonical for the extra strength. So that way you're base strength 5 at -3 and 1 damage. And it's basically having power swords, right? And again, we were just talking about power swords are great. And oh yeah, let's look at their abilities here. Doctrinas, they've got that optimized gate, so they can ignore any or all modifiers to its move characteristic, with the exception of the incurred due to the deprecation effect from the bulwark. So if you're using the Doctrina to give them the plus save and you get that -3 inches, they still take that -3 inches. They do not ignore that. But they ignore all other modifiers to their advance and charge rolls. So if I'm not mistaken, that would include the difficult terrain for like craters, that -2, or the grenades, the Tinglefoot, grenades, I believe, from like Custodes. They should be able to ignore that. So they're quick. They're going to be hard to shut down. They've got that 5-up invulnerable save also. And then Wasteland Stalkers. Each time a ranged attack is allocated to a model in this unit, while it's receiving the benefits of cover, add an additional 1 to any armor save throw made against that attack. So I believe that would also work with Shroud Psalm if you are, again, if you're Mars, because you count as receiving the benefit of light cover. So you probably get the light cover plus that, so that would make your save go down to a 2+. And of course, if you get that Loci, Holy Order, to ignore AP 1 and 2, super, super tough. Alright, Cerberus Raiders. Cerberus Raiders? Cerberus Raiders? Cerberry. Like blueberry or raspberry or what? These guys are cheap. Only 2 power if you're looking at a power game. So you know they're going to be pretty inexpensive. They get a 12-inch move, weapon skill 4, ballistic skill 3, strength 3, 4 toughness, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 3 on the alpha, leadership 6 to 7, and save of a 4+. Now the dogs did change. They used to be toughness 3, 3 wounds. They used to be toughness 3, 3 wounds. They changed them to toughness 4, 2 wounds. Good or bad? Not sure. I think it's just different. It makes sense that they are higher toughness because they're on a mount, and that they've got this, higher wounds again than like a normal Skitarii. Because normal Skitarii have 1, have them on a dog to get another one. It makes sense to me. And these guys come in units of 3, and you could get them in up to 9. So you could take a big unit of 9. If you're playing a power game, then 9 would only be 6 power. It's pretty inexpensive. And the regular raiders come with a galvanic carbine, cavalry saber, and clawed limbs. The alpha comes with the Archaeo revolver, the galvanic carbine, the cavalry saber, and the clawed limbs. So he gets a little special revolver there with him. So the revolver is range 12, pistol 1, strength 5, -2, 2 damage. It's good. It's a good pistol. The galvanic carbines are assault 2, strength 4, -1, 1 damage at range 18. So it's quite a bit different than the galvanic rifles that the Rangers have. The consistent part is they're 2 shots, they're strength 4, and they're -1. So, but these are assault instead of heavy. And of course the range is much shorter, which is fine because they are on a very fast 12-inch moving platform. The cavalry saber is basically like a really weak power sword. Strength 1, -1, 1 damage. So it makes them strength 4, which is okay. Nothing to really write home about, but at least they're not strength 3. And again, you could always buff that up with certain abilities. Enhanced data tether, it's good that they have that option, so that way they could benefit from the Marshal's abilities to ignore one of the Doctrina negatives. Then we've got enhanced bionics for 5-up invulnerable. Skirmish line, so at the start of the first battle round, the models can make a normal move. They cannot end this move within 9 inches of enemy models. This is the main thing that everybody likes this unit for. It's for moving them up early in the game, using them to block movement, and then when somebody tries to charge them, they use that Tactica Obliqua stratagem to move away and not be charged. That's a good way to slow down an army for a turn. That's for sure. And then they also have Eyes of the Cerberus. Each time you select a target for a weapon a model in this unit is equipped with, you can ignore the Lookout Sir rule. Each time a ranged attack is made by a model in this unit, an unmodified wound roll of a 6 inflicts 1 mortal wound in addition to any normal damage. So it basically makes all their shooting into sniper weapons, which can be pretty helpful. Just trying to take out those buffing characters here and there that may only have 3 or 4 wounds on them. You get a decent number of shots here, with each of them having the galvanic carbine, so that could be a minimum of 6 shots. with those. And then if you've got, say, a big unit of 9, then you've got 18 shots with that. So you've got a pretty good chance of taking out a character and doing mortal wounds too. I haven't seen them used as much for something like that, mainly for disrupting enemy movement. But these guys could also take advantage of the was it the Dunewriter stratagem, where they get an automatic 6-inch advance, and then they could still shoot all their weapons without penalty. So those assault weapons get to shoot without any negative hit modifier, and then of course you could boost up their ballistic skill as well. Sulfur Hands, I think these guys are a little bit underrated. They are power level 3. They again come in units of 3 to 9, and they've got the similar stat line, same stat line actually. 12, 4, 3, 3, toughness 4, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, 3 on the alpha, and then leadership 7 on the alpha and 4 up saves. They come with 2 phosphor pistols on the regular guys, the sulfur breath, and the clawed limbs. And the alpha comes with a phosphor blast pistol and an arc maul. So I really like the pistols and the arc maul. You do have an option here to remove one of the guy's blast pistols, or one of the guy's phosphor pistols, and give him the phosphor blast carbine. Or excuse me, both pistols. So you lose out on 2 shots with the pistols, but then you gain the blast carbine, which is 2d3. So your minimum shots are going to be the same, with a much higher potential. And then your strength 5 minus 1 damage. So I think that's probably a good trade, even though you're starting to mix pistol and assault weapons. That's okay. So the phosphor blast carbine, again, assault 2d3, strength 5 minus 1 damage, blast, which is good. And then each time an attack is made with this weapon, the target does not receive the benefit of dense cover against that attack. Okay, so next we've got the phosphor blast pistol instead of the carbine. 12-inch range pistol, d3, 5 strength minus 1 damage, and then again ignores dense cover. So it's basically the same thing. D3 less shots, 6-inch less range, but strength 5 is nice. Then the regular guys have 2 phosphor pistols, so you get to shoot both. So 12-inch range, 1 shot each, so each guy gets 2 shots. Strength 4 minus 1 damage, ignores dense. And then for the close combat, or for the dog, right, you get that sulfur breath, 12-inch range pistol, d6, strength 4 minus 2. Update, I like it, minus 2. 1 damage, auto hits. Charge me. Let me overwatch you. I want to hit you with strength 4 minus 2. Auto hits on that overwatch. And for combat, you've got the arc maul, again melee, strength plus 3. I like it. Minus 2, 1 damage. And then of course, if you're going against a vehicle, because it's an arc weapon, it does plus 1 damage. So it goes to damage 2, and it always wounds on a 4-up to wound. So again, pretty nice. Strength 3 makes them strength 6. So that is pretty good. And then the clawed limbs, melee, strength 1, or strength plus 1, AP nothing, 1 damage. But each time the bearer fights, it makes 2 additional attacks with this weapon. So generally what I do is I say, okay, great. How many regular guys do I have? They've got 2 attacks each. Let's just put all those into the clawed limbs, plus their extra 2 attacks, so that your basic guys are going to have 4 clawed limb attacks at strength 4. And then your alpha is going to have 2 attacks. So even a 3-man squad is going to have 10 clawed limb attacks at strength 4. And then your leader's going to have 3 arc maul attacks at strength 6, -2, 1 damage. So they can put the hurt out on stuff decently in melee. And then we already talked about the war gear options here. So of course they're Doctrina, Imperatives, and then Pistoliers. Each time this unit advances until the end of the turn, the type characteristic of pistol weapons are changed to Assault. So you could advance and still shoot your pistols, which is nice. And then models in this unit are eligible to shoot with any assault weapons that they are equipped with in a turn which they shot pistol weapons. Because normally you could only shoot pistol weapons or other type of weapons. So here you could shoot assault weapons with your pistol weapons. That does not necessarily mean that you can shoot assault weapons in close combat like you can with pistols. Because pistols have a special rule that say that they could shoot while in combat. I don't believe this lets you shoot with the assault weapon. I think it just means that if you've got the Phosphor Blast Carbine and your Sulfur Breath, right, that you could still shoot both of them when you're not in combat. If you're in combat, I believe you're still stuck with just the pistol weapons. So let me know what you guys think. Is that right? Am I full of it? That sounds like how they intend it. I don't think they want you shooting the blast carbine in combat. Enhanced Bionics, 5-up invulnerable save. These guys also get the rad saturation. So while they're in engagement range, they subtract 1 to the strength and toughness of enemy models. So that improves their combat even more. So their clawed limbs at strength 4 against Marines now that are toughness 3. So you're wounding on 3s. Great. And again, if you're Ryza, right, and you get that +1 to wound, you're wounding on 2s. Very, very nice. Alright, Taraxi Sterilisers. 4 power. People are loving these guys right now. Again, I wouldn't go out spending a bunch of money on them at the moment. Their movement 12, weapon skill ballistic skill 3, strength 4, toughness 3, 2 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 7 on the alpha, and a 4-up save. Okay, and they come base with Phosphor Torch and the Taraxi Talons, and then your alpha gets a Flechette Blaster, the Talons, and a Taser Goad. We already kind of went over the Flechette Blaster and Taser Goad with the Infiltrators. Now, so what is the Phosphor Torch and the Taraxi Talons? Well, the Phosphor Torch is 12-inch, Assault D6, Strength 4, -1, 1 damage, auto hits. So it's a nice big 12-inch flamer at -1. So you take in a unit of 5 to 10. So you would have 4d6 up to 9d6 auto hits at 12 inches. The Taraxi Talons now are melee weapons, strength user, so only strength 4. Strength 4 is still nice. -1, 1 damage. Alright. So what makes them dangerous is the fact that they get Doctrinas and Thermal Riders, so they could deploy in reserve and then drop down and then shoot. So their shooting is all 12 inches and they could drop down more than 9 away, so they'll be in range to shoot. Great. And then they can charge after that, of course, with their 5-up invulnerable save. So if they survive, then this unit is eligible to charge in a unit in which it, or in a turn in which it fell back. Why you would want to fall back and charge with them would be very interesting to me, because then you can't shoot. But I guess if you're stuck in combat, you couldn't shoot anyway. But why stay in combat when you could use that boost stratagem to just, at the end of your turn, put them back in reserve? So I would drop down, flame something, charge something, and then at the end of the turn, boost away. Alright, because swooping strikes each time this unit fights in a turn in which it made a charged move or was charged that the unit is eligible to resolve. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this unit, so they become attacks 3 and 4 for the Princeps, or for the Alpha. So they get a good number of attacks. So you come down, you flame something, you charge it, you get extra attacks, and then you pay a CP and fly away. Alright? Unless you want to keep somebody in combat, like a really bad shooting unit, you want to keep in combat, then you could use the stratagem where if they try to fall back on a 2+, they can't. And then I guess in your turn, you could fall back and charge just to get that extra attack again. You could fall back and charge a different unit. Doesn't matter. They've got fly and jump pack, so they could just jump over the unit when they fall back and charge something, I guess, further back in the back lines. Alright, Taraxi Sky Stalkers. I haven't seen anybody use this unit that I could think of. They've got the same profile as the Sterilizers, but they come with flechette, blasters, and taser gun on the, again, on the Alpha. And everybody else has a flechette carbine, which is 18 inches, assault 5, 3, strength 3, no AP, and 1 damage. They get a 5-up invulnerable as well. The interesting thing about these guys is they could fall back and shoot, which is really good. And I guess with that many attacks, with having assault 5 is good, but you would probably just want to stay at range, I would think, for the most part, because you don't have the Taraxi talons for close combat. I'm thinking that's just in case somebody charges you and you get stuck in combat and you're able to fly away and shoot. It's not necessarily meant to be an offensive thing as much as a defensive strategy. And then again, thermal riders they could deploy in deep strike. And then the unit everybody's been talking about, the big baddies of the book, I think. It's the Iron Strider Ballisteri. And I don't think their profile really changed. Movement 10, weapon skill, ballistic skill 3, strength 5, toughness 6, 6 wounds, 2 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3-up save. The big difference is their guns. Big guns here. So they come with the autocannon, twin Cognis autocannon, and you could upgrade it to the las cannon if you want. The autocannon is pretty handy. Range 48, assault 6, strength 1, or strength 7, excuse me. Why do I keep saying 1? Strength 7, AP 1, 2 damage. Pretty good profile, basic autocannon profile, except for you get 3 shots each instead of 2. And they're Cognis, so they're assault instead of heavy. And then same thing with the twin Cognis las cannons. 48 inches, assault 2, strength 9, D3. And then they're D3 plus 3 damage for these las cannons. These are special las cannons. I really like this D3 plus 3 that they've been doing. It's so much better than D6. So there's that. Doctrina imperatives. Of course, they get bionics for a 6-up invulnerable, so they don't get that 5-up. They do explode, so be careful. You could see a lot of explosions going on. And they got that broad spectrum data tether where they could give a unit +1 in leadership and the data tether keyword. So everybody likes these. See people mostly running the Cognis las cannons because of that, strength 9 and then D3 plus 3 damage. With 4 shots at a minimum unit of, or a unit of 2. Again, if you're Mars, you get a reroll. If you've got one of the Doctrinas in place, or one of the Mechanicals in place for the reroll hit, reroll wound, reroll damage, really good on these guys. Minimum unit of 1 up to 6. If you take 6, it might be a trap as far as cost, and trying to put all your eggs in one basket, because if something gets out of line of sight from you that you really need to kill, you might be in trouble. They are vehicles though, so they can still shoot if they get locked up in combat, although it is at a -1. But it's not bad when you've got options for increasing their ballistic skill, or you might find a way to fall back and still shoot. And then the Sidonian Dragoons, I really like these guys as well. Again, 1 to 6, power level 4. They come equipped with the Radium Giselle. I don't like the Giselle. I think it's garbage. You're paying a lot of points for a heavy 2, strength 5 -2, damage 1 weapon. That's basically a giant sniper rifle. I don't like it. I go with the Taser Lance. I like the Taser Lance. I think that's what they're mainly there for. If there's a reason to take the Radium Giselle, let me know. I don't see it. Sure, it's a radium weapon, so you could upgrade it to strength 6 and -3, and then get another minus on there, so -4 from the Mechanicus. But I don't really rate it for 2 shots on a platform that's expensive to do 1 damage and maybe do a mortal wound. I go with the Lance. Go with the Lance. Phosphor Serpenta, maybe. It's extra points. But definitely go with the Lance. +3 strength. They're base 5, so that's 8. Again, there's Skitarii. So you could use CP to boost them up. -2, 2 damage. And again, exploding 6s do 2 additional hits. So you could again make that exploding on 5s. And being Skitarii, you can give them extra strength, so maybe you get them at strength 9. Use your Doctrinas, get them up to, or use the Mechanicals with Mars, get them up to strength 10. And start busting those tanks with 3s to wound. Or even if you're Ryza, get that +1 to wound, so you don't even need to boost their strength that much. But you could definitely get them on wounding tanks on 2-ups pretty reliably. 6-up invulnerable, they explode as well. Incense Cloud is amazing. They're always -1 to be hit. That's in shooting and close combat. And then they have broad spectrum data tethers. Another unit that changed massively are the Castellan robots. I used a unit of 4. I was not that impressed with them. I tried a mixed build. So before we get into that, let's see what they do. Unit of 2 to 6, movement 8, weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, strength 6, toughness 7, 7 wounds. They were 6 wounds before. They've gone up a wound. 3 attacks, leadership 10, save of a 3+. They went down in power. Before they were 12 power, now they're 10. That probably is going to tell you something. So they come base with a Castellan Phosphor Blaster, the Incending Combustor, and a Castellan Fist. So there you could already see that they are a mixed build. The options that you have is any model can have their Castellan Fist replaced with a Castellan Phosphor Blaster, or you could have your Castellan Phosphor Blaster replaced with a Castellan Fist. And then you could replace your Incending Combustor with a heavy Phosphor Blaster. So you could still go very shooty with the heavy Phosphor Blaster and then 2 Castellan Phosphor Blasters. Or you could do the classic double fist with the Flamer. Or you could do a mix of whatever you really want there. I went with a heavy phosphor blaster, the Castellan phosphor blaster, and a fist. So the heavy phosphor blaster, I believe, is the same range 36, heavy 3, strength 6, -2, 1 damage. Instead of ignoring cover, of course they just ignore dense cover. The Castellan phosphor blaster has changed a lot, because before it was just more heavy phosphor blasters, so they made it a unique gun for the hands. Range 24, so the shorter range, heavy 3, strength 6, AP 1, 2 damage. So the AP and damage are switched on this compared to the heavy phosphor blasters. And then each time you make an attack with this weapon, it ignores dense cover because it's phosphor. You kind of have the same damage potential with these as you did before when you had a protocol to shoot twice. So before you would just get double shots that did 1 damage. Now you're always half shots that do 2 damage. So I think in a way this is better because you're doing 2 damage at a time instead of rolling a bunch of dice trying to get 1 damage. But it definitely hurts in that you're still only PS4. So you were kind of relying on that volume of fire. But it's just different. Now the Castellan Fist is +4 strength, -3 damage, and you get to make an additional attack with this weapon when you fight. So they go up to 4 attacks with the fist. If you do double fist, you get 5 attacks. +4 strength means you're at strength 10. So strength 10 -3, 3 damage. With 4 or 5 attacks, it seems really good. But again, you're only weapon skill 4. Comes with the canticles, which is great. So that makes it so you could be -1 to be hit, get that +1 damage. Get that Shroud Psalm in there for the cover. You're good to go. The battle protocols, this is what you need your Datasmith for. So you start in the Aegis protocol, which gives you a 2+ save. So instead of the 3+ that you start with, you'll actually start with a 2+ armor save. Before it, I believe it affected your invulnerable save as well. It does not now. It's only armor. Now your Conqueror protocol that you could change into will give you a weapon skill of 2+. That makes your punchy bots that much better. Now if you go into Protector, which is shooting, it only gives you a plus skill 3+, and you cannot move. So I think the Conquer protocol is going to be the way to go. Before, it lets you double your attacks, but now it gives you a weapon skill 2. I think this is better, being able to hit on 2+, because your fists give you extra hits or extra attacks anyway. So I think the punchy bots got quite a bit better. The shooting bots, I think, got worse. Yeah, let's go with that. We'll see. Again, I've only had 1 game so far. I haven't seen anybody really use these too much. But I'm thinking mixed or punchy bots are going to be the way to go. They still have the repulsor grid for a 5+ invulnerable save, and a 6+ invulnerable save reflects a mortal wound back at the shooting unit, and then they still explode on a 6 for 3 inches and 1 mortal wound. When we get to the Corpius Disintegrator, the newer tank, I guess you could say their battle tank. Power level 8, movement 12, weapon skill 6, BS 3, strength 6, toughness 7, 12 wounds, 3 attacks, leadership 8, and a 3+ save. So it does degrade as you go down in wounds because it's over 10 wounds, and mainly it affects your movement and your ballistic skill. A little bit on your attacks, but you're not there for fighting anyway, so that doesn't really matter too much. It comes base with 3 Cognus Heavy Stubbers, the Disruptor Missile Launcher, and the Belarus Energy Cannon. The Belarus Energy Cannon did change, so it is now 36-inch range, heavy 3d3, strength 5, it was 6, and at -1, 2 damage, blast, which is always nice, and then it could shoot out of line of sight, which is, again, a godsend to have in an army that's shooting. Makes it so people can't hide, right? Can't hide on those objectives all game. Cognus Stubbers changed as well. Range 36, Assault 4. There used to be 3. Strength 4, AP dash, 1 damage. So 1 extra shot each. You know, it's got 3 of them. It's 3 extra shots. It's like having an extra gun. Disruptor Missile Launcher, 36, heavy D6. Strength 7, -2, D3, blast. Pretty basic. Fulminate Cannon, again, I do like this one. I haven't used it much, even before, so I'd like to maybe try it out. 48 inches, heavy 3, strength 8, -3, 3 damage, so that's nice. The heavy 3 is okay. I'm a little worried about it because of the ballistic skill, but with these are what you're going to be boosting with your engine seers, I think, giving them +1 ballistic skill to your vehicle. So base, you're going to be on a 2-up ballistic skill, which I think makes that fulminate cannon that much more useful over the Belarus energy cannon, because you need line of sight anyway if you're shooting that missile launcher and the stubbers. So odds are whatever you're shooting the missile launcher at, you're going to be shooting the fulminate cannon at, and that's probably a good combo. D6 strength 7 and heavy 3 strength 8, -2, -3, D3 damage, flat 3 damage. They seem to work pretty well together, where the Belarus energy cannon is more for I think planking away at heavy infantry with strength 5 -1, 2 damage. Seems like a good marine killer. I was using it to pretty good effect against Hive Guard, because Hive Guard like to hide because they don't need line of sight either, and just pop away on them. Strength 5 to their toughness 5, so winning on 4s. Good platform. Has the Doctrine Imperatives. It explodes. And the broad spectrum data tethers, so you could give nearby units the data tether keyword to take benefit from the Marshal. Alright, Onager Dune Crawler. I don't own any of these, so I haven't gotten a chance to play with one. They do come in the old Start Collecting box, and now the new Combat Patrol box. So I might pick up a Combat Patrol box or 2 to get 1 or 2 of these, because it's a great discount, and I always gonna need more Cataphrons and more Rangers and Vanguard. Movement 8, Weapon Skill 5, which is nice compared to the Weapon Skill 6 of the Disintegrator. Ballistic Skill 3, Strength 6, Toughness 7, 11 wounds, so 1 less wound. Attacks 3, Leadership 8, 3+ armor. Now, it comes with the Eradication Beamer, and that's the only gun it comes with. So what is the Eradication Beamer? The Eradication Beamer is 2 different profiles. Focused is is 18-inch range, heavy D6, strength 8, -4, 3 damage, blast. Okay, blast is interesting. Not sure what you're really shooting at as far as squadrons of vehicles, unless it's other Ad-Mech, right? So like if you're shooting at a unit of Iron Strider Ballistari or Castellan robots or something, that blast will come in handy. Otherwise, you are just vaporizing heavy infantry. Or dispersed at 36 inches, heavy D6, strength 8 -3, 2 damage blast. So, not too much of a difference between the two profiles. It's 1 AP and 1 damage difference, but the range difference is huge. So, interesting. Probably not the best weapon, I think, for that. What are other options for weapons? So you can, the Eradication Beamer can be, let's push that up here a little bit. The Eradication Beamer can be replaced with one of the following: the Daedalus Missile Launcher, Gatling Rocket Launcher, and Twin Icarus Autocannon, a Neutron Laser and Cognis Heavy Stubber, or one Twin Onager Heavy Phosphor Blaster. A lot of words there, and they've got a lot of commas and semicolons. So one of the options is the Daedalus Missile Launcher, Gatling Rocket Launcher, and Twin Icarus Autocannon. Those are now all separate weapons, instead of like a cluster of like one super duper crazy weapon loadout there. So what's first in that line there? The Daedalus Missile Launcher. Daedalus Missile Launcher. Range 48, heavy 1, strength 7, -3 D6 damage. And each time an attack is made with this weapon against an aircraft, add 1 to that attack's hit roll. Okay, great. So it gets +1 to hit against aircraft. No negative for shooting against non-aircraft. That's great. Next one is the Gatling Missile Launcher. So Gatling Missile Launcher, range 48, heavy 5, strength 6, AP2, -1. Each time an attack is made with this weapon against an aircraft, add 1 to the attack's hit roll. Again, great. So that's another 5 attacks, minus strength 6, -2. A lot of shots. So heavy 1, heavy 5. And then the last one is the Twin Icarus Autocannon. So the Twin Icarus Autocannon is 48 inches. Heavy 4, strength 7, -1, 2 damage. And again, bonus to hit against aircraft. That's a lot of shots. So you got 4 shots, 5 shots, 1 shot. So you got 10 shots out of this. And still, Ballistic Skill 3, Ballistic Skill 2 against aircraft. Most aircraft have hard to hit, so it'll just knock you back down to 3. You could always increase with your Doctrinas, increase your ballistic skill, and then you're hitting them on 2s. +1, -1 cancel out, so you're fine. Hitting aircrafts on 2s with 10 shots. That's pretty good. And you don't get any negatives for shooting ground targets. That's even better, because before you'd always get the +1 to hit aircrafts, -1 against everything else, and it was garbage. The other option here is the Neutron Laser and Cognis Heavy Stubber. We've already seen the Cognis Heavy Stubbers earlier with 36, Assault 4, Strength 4, 1 damage. So that's nothing new. But the Neutron Laser now, where is it? Neutron Laser, 48 inches, heavy D3, Strength 12, -4, D3 +3 damage, blast. Pretty good. I like it. Strength 12, so you're winning stuff, toughness 6 on 2s. So again, like those Hive Guard, if they step out of line and into line of sight, you are vaporizing those guys. Especially if they take a big unit of say 6, then you're getting your max 3 shots, hitting on 3s or 2s, wounding on 2s, -4, so they're not going to get a save. And then minimum 4 damage. You're vaporizing stuff. I like that Neutron Laser. I mean, just comparing it to the Eradication Beamer, sure, it's half the shots. It's D3 instead of D6, but it's always at 48 inches. It's always strength 12 compared to 8. It's always -4 compared to 4 or 3. And then it's minimum 4 damage, where it's 2 or 3 damage. I think the neutron laser may be more consistent. Even if you are fluctuating between 1 and 3 shots, the damage and the strength, I think, are really going to carry you through. Plus you get the stubber, which is just like little bonus shots there. And then the last one is the Twin Onager Heavy Phosphor Blaster, which is 36 inches, heavy 8, strength 6, -2, 2 damage, and ignores dense cover. It's not bad. 8 shots is pretty good. So I'm not going to complain about that. It seems like a good kind of all around. But if you're going to go with something like that, you're probably better off with the missile launcher, Gatling launcher, and the Twin Icarus autocannon. Because you're going to get more shots with that combination. Your strength is about the same. It's 6s and 7s. Your AP is, 1, 2, 3. And then your damage is 2, 1, D6 instead of just flat 2. So I guess it depends on what your target is. If you're shooting Marines and you need that consistent 2 damage, then you've got it there. But if you're shooting vehicles and all kinds of other stuff, the basic anti-flyer loadout may be better for you. And then it could be equipped with one of the following: broad spectrum data tethers or smoke launchers. And the smoke launchers give you the smoke screen keyword, and like I was saying before, not a lot gives you that keyword. It's basically just this and the flyers, so it may be useful on here if you need that -1 to be hit. So that's an option there. You've got a lot of other data tethers with the Corpius Disintegrator, and the Dunewriter has it as well, which we'll see here in a second. And then with the Ballistari and the Stygian Dragoons. So here's the Dunewriter. You see it's got the broad spectrum data tethers that we were just talking about. Power level 5 didn't change. It's weird seeing all this power level because I've been doing Crusade so much, and I'm recognizing power level more and more. The profile stayed basically the same. The Cognis Heavy Stubbers, of course, they each gained a shot. So we already went over the heavy Cognis Heavy Stubber already. This also has a twin Cognis Heavy Stubber, so it's Assault 8 because it's got 1 extra shot for each. The big change here is that it is able to carry 12 infantry or Forge World infantry models. People talk about, oh look, it doesn't specify that it can't carry Centurions. So people are being goofy about that, but we know that's not correct. We'll see that changed. So as I was saying, the transport capacity says it's for 12 infantry or Forge World infantry models. So people are saying it could carry, 12 Centurions or 12 Gravis Marines or whatever. So that'll be interesting. It's probably going to be getting FAQ'd, and we'll see from there. But other than that, it's pretty simple transport. It's nice that they increased the capacity to 12 from 10, so you can have a 10-man squad or 2 5-man squads and a couple characters. Perfect. All right. The Archaeopter Transvector, power level 6. I don't have any of the flyers. They do look interesting. The Transvector, probably the least of them, but it did get a lot of different abilities now. So power level 6, base movement 20 inches to 50 inches, weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 3, 6 strength, 7 toughness, 10 wounds, 3 attacks, 9 leadership, and 3 up save. And it goes down in movement, ballistic skill, and attacks. It comes with 2 Cognis Heavy Stubbers and a twin Cognis Heavy Stubber, and a command uplink. So the firepower is the same as the Corpius Dunewriter, and it's 1 more power. The command uplink that it comes with, the bear grants the data tether keyword to the following and the following ability. Command uplink aura. While friendly Forge World Skitarii core units are within 3 inches of this model, add 1 to the leadership characteristic of those models in that unit, and they gain the data tether keyword. So this one is an aura rather than just picking a unit. So that is nice, but it is only within 3 inches. So I'm not sure how useful that really is when a lot of the data tether stuff is in the command phase, and if you disembark, that's in the movement phase, so you've already done all the command phase stuff. It'll really only work if you either go into hover mode or you fly up next to a unit that needs the data tether information the turn before. So not sure that's great. The command uplink can be replaced with the chaff launcher. Again, that gives you the smoke screen word, and then -1 damage. So it can be decently tanky with the -1 damage, but you may get some limited use out of that. So it does have the Doctrina Imperative and a good page of other rules. So before we get into combined landing, let's look at the other basics. Hard to hit, which is -1 against or -1 to be hit from attack rolls from ranged weapons. Hover jet, so it can go into a hover mode and get a movement of 20, but it loses airborne, hard to hit, and maneuverable aircraft. Aerial deployment, you could set it up basically in, let's see, if you armies Battleforged, then each Archaeopter Transvector unit included in a detachment. A second Archaeopter Transvector unit can be included in that detachment without taking up an additional battlefield roll slot. So it is a flyer slot, it is not a dedicated transport. So you can take 2 per slot, basically, if you wanted to. Explodes on a 6 inches, D3 mortal wounds. Airborne, you can't charge or be charged unless they have fly, but you still can't charge, and you could just move away. And then maneuverable aircraft, each time this model makes a normal move, advance, or falls back, first pivot on the spot up to 90 degrees. It does not contribute to your actual move distance. Then move the model straight forwards, and then it could pivot up to 90 degrees 1 more time at any point during that movement phase, which is nice. So you could start on this board edge, right? Turn 90, go, and then turn another 90 when you're finished. And then you could just go back and forth on a single board edge all game if you want to, or you could say you're facing this way, and then you could turn, let's use the other hand, turn, go this way, and then stop midway, and then go up again, if you wanted to, depending on which way you wanted to face. So, because you could have just gone, turned 45 and gone, and then turn again, 90 degrees whichever way. So it helps you just stay on the board a little bit better. Or you could just kind of patrol your own deployment line if you wanted to, and not get too close to the enemy. So there's that. And then transport capacity has a transport capacity of 6 infantry or Forge World infantry models. Again, that'll probably get changed because people are going to try and stick Centurions or Gravis armor or something in there when they're probably, odds are they're not supposed to. So the combined landing rule, let's take a look. It's pretty long here. If a detachment contains multiple Archaeopters, you can choose for pairs of them to make a combined landing instead of setting them up on the battlefield. For each combined landing that you want to take, select 2 Forge World Archaeopter models. Those 2 transports are treated as one model with a combined transport capacity of 12. Forge World infantry models for the purpose of which units can be embarked within them. This means that any eligible infantry unit containing 7 to 12 models can start embarked in these 2 transports. The infantry models in these 2 transports the infantry models in that unit being split between the 2 transports, make a note of which infantry models are within each transport. Those 2 transport models can be set up in the reinforcement step of your first, second, or third movement phase, regardless of any mission rules, and must be set up at the same time. So I think that lets you kind of ignore some of the rules like drop pods, so you can drop down in turn 1. Any units embarked within those transports must immediately disembark after the transports models have been set up, and the disembark units must set up more than 9 inches away from enemy models. So just like drop pods, they have to immediately disembark. When those 2 transport models are set up, they must set up within 9 inches of one another, and any disembarking units must follow the normal rules for disembarking transport units and unit coherency. So it's a really expensive drop pod and a very poor Dunewriter. Because Dunewriter holds 12 and it's only 5 power, and it's got the same amount of firepower. This is 6 power, so it's costing you 12 power to cover 12 models in the same way, and do like a drop pod entry. The only benefit you get from that is twice the guns and maybe like a chaff launcher. I don't really like it. Seems like a waste to me. Alright, Archaeopter Stratoraptor. It's 9 power. This is your gunship. Weapon skill 5, ballistic skill 3, strength 6, toughness 7, 10 wounds, 3 attacks, 9 leadership, and a 3 save. Comes equipped with 2 Cognis Heavy Stubbers, 2 Heavy Phosphor Blasters, and a Twin Cognis Las Cannon, and a Command Uplink. So we know the Cognis Heavy Stubbers, we know the Heavy Phosphor Blasters, and the Twin Cognis Las. So you get, let's see, 2 Cognis Heavy Stubbers, so that's 8 shots, 2 Heavy Phosphor Blasters, that's 6 shots, and then a Twin Las, which is 2. So you get a decent amount of shooting with this one. The main damage dealer here is going to be the Las Cannons, of course, followed by the Heavy Phosphor Blasters. And I think it's probably okay for the points and for the power level. Heavy Phosphors are again good. It's going to be 6 shots, strength 6, minus 2, 1 damage. And the Twin Cognis Las, 2 shots, strength 9, minus 3, D3 plus 3. And then the Heavy Stubbers are just kind of a whatever. Command Uplink is again always good with the data tether, if you could run up to units and give it to them. The turn 4, I guess. Well, nah, I guess it's an aura. So as long as you're next to them the turn before, then you're in your command phase. You could actually give them commands. So that still seems weird. Chaff launcher again, smoke screen and minus 1 damage. You've got Doctrinas, airborne again, maneuverable aircraft for the 90% or 90-degree turns twice. Hard to hit, hover jet, and explodes. So it's pretty simple as far as that one goes. It's just got a couple guns. And the Archaeopter Fuselage. This is your bomber. It's probably the best one, I think, out of them. Power level 7. Same profile. It comes with 4 Cognis Heavy Stubbers and a command uplink. Of course, you could change the command uplink for the chaff launcher. Doctrina Imperatives, airborne, maneuverable aircraft, hard to hit, hover jet, and explodes, just like all the others. This one, though, comes with bomb rack. So once per turn, after this model's moved, in your movement phase, you can select one unit it moved across. Roll 66 for each vehicle or monster model in that unit, and roll 1d6 for each other unit in that, or each other model in that unit, up to 10d6. For every 4+, that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. So, pretty simple. You go over a single vehicle or monster, you roll 6. If you go over a unit that has 2 or more vehicles or monsters, it caps out at 10. Did I say 2d6? You roll 6d6 for 1, and then 10d6 for 2. And then if you go over infantry, bikes, anything else that's not a vehicle or monster, it's just 1 per model in the unit, up to 10. And at 4 up, it's a mortal wound. So, go over units of 10. If you get max dice, you're probably doing 5 mortal wounds. That's 2.5 Marines. It's okay. It's better than a poke in the eye. But I think the stratagem for, I think it's the, is it the tremor? Something? Let's take a look. Again, real quick. Note the arc grenade, seismic bomb. Let's see. Oh, no. There we go. Seismic bomb. 1 CP. Use in your movement phase when it finishes move. Select one enemy model that it moved over in this phase, excluding Titanic or units that can fly. Until the start of your next movement phase, that enemy unit is shaken. While that enemy unit is shaken, have the move characteristic of models in that unit, and have advance rolls and charge rolls made for that unit. So it does not say this takes place of your bombing run, so this is in addition to. So you can drop a seismic bomb on one unit and then do the bomb rack on another. So it seems like that's probably the best way to go with the Archaeopter Fuselage. Alright, and that's it for our War Scrolls, or Data Scrolls here. Then you get your definitions of arc weapons, carbine weapons, cognis weapons, galvanic weapons, phosphor, plasma, radium, rifles, and tasers. Pretty self-explanatory. It's going to just tell you any weapon that has those words and the name, or any relic that replaces a weapon with that word in the name is that. Then you've got all your ranged weapon profiles, all of your melee weapon profiles, and then your points values. So let's zoom in on this again. And a little closer. There we go. So pretty simple. You've got, all right. So pretty simple. You've got Call at 180, the Marshal at 45, the Dominus starting at 75, Tech Priest 55, Manipulus at 70, Techno Archaeologist 55, and then your Holy Orders. So your Skitarii Marshal is the cheapest. He doesn't have anything you could upgrade on him. I really like him. He buffs the Skitarii. He's very good. Then your troops, your Cataphron, Breachers, and Destroyers, 35 and 40, and then they go up by 10 or 10 and 5. Cognus Flamer, I think, is the way to go on the destroyer, so that's just +5, so 45, and then you keep, I would keep the heavy grav, so it's 45 a model, not too bad. Rangers, they start at 8, and you could put all kinds of stuff on them. Probably, I like the Transonic Arquebus, 15 points though. You can only get 2 in a unit of 20. Maybe run them in units of 5 if you want to run special weapons, and specialize with one of them. Because if you're taking arc rifles for 10 and plasma calibers for 10, that's, you know, if you take 2 of each, that's 40, and then it's another 30 if you take the arquebus and just load out everything out. Gets expensive. The guns are worth more than the bodies are, so maybe just take advantage of those cheap rifles and make use of those stratagems to make it rapid fire too. Let's get this water cup out of the way so I don't knock it off the table here. And Vanguard, also 8 points, 5 to 20, same points costs. Probably keep them cheap unless you're trying to run small units with just a rifle or something, or if you run a 10-man with an arc rifle and a plasma. That's what I think. It'd be interesting to maybe run a 20-man with 2 arc rifles and 2 plasmas. But with them being 30-inch range now, they may do better with Rangers because they don't need them to be that close. So maybe the range works better with the Rangers with everything being at least 30 inches. Alright, Elites. Corpus Sky Electro Priest at 15 points. They're pretty cheap. No cost for upgrades. Datasmith is 40. No cost for upgrades. He doesn't have any. They don't have any. Fulgurites are 15 points each. That's pretty cheap. Also, no upgrades, 5 to 20. So max unit is 300 points. Pretty pricey for toughness 3 1-win models, but they've got the 5-up. Oh, keep bumping this tripod now. It's getting late. I feel like I've been talking for hours. Servitors, 4 points a model. Or no, 4 points per unit. Excuse me. Or 4 models per unit, but unit cost. So because there's only 4, there's no range. It's 28 points for all 4. And then for multi-melta, it's another 20 points. So if you take 2 multi-meltas, it's 40 points, and the unit itself only costs 28. So 68 points for 4 multi-melta shots. Is it worth it? Maybe. If you get that weapon or ballistic skill 4. Scarred Tari Infiltrators and Sakaran Infiltrators and Rust Stalkers are both 17 points each. They're both good. You either get the high AP and mortal wounds or the ton of attacks. So choose your pick your choice. And fast attack, Ballisteri, 65 points a model. Unless you want the Cognizant, 75. Pretty reasonable, 1 to 6 models. Compare that to the Dragoons, 55, and then 15 points for the Lance, so you're looking at 70, and then if you add the Serpenta, 75. So you could either get a Lance at strength 8, -2 damage with 4 attacks that explode, and a gun for the same price as 2 las cannon shots. Las cannons are probably going to be more reliable because you don't have to get into melee and get attacked back and all that fun stuff. Taraxi Sky Stalkers, 17 points. Sterilizers, 19 points. Again, I'd probably hold off on buying the sterilizers until we see an FAQ for that boost stratagem to just put them up and down all the time. 200 points for 10 models, or 190 points for 10 models is kind of expensive. But if you can't shoot them, if you can't attack them, and they're just flying up and down, it is super cheap for an unkillable unit. 16 points for the Raiders. So pretty cheap. Data tethers are only 5 points. Sulfur Hands 20 points, quite a bit more expensive, but I really like their flamers. Arc is 5, you have to pay for that. And the blast pistol is 5. So 20 for the base and then 30 for the alpha. There. Heavy support, Castellan robots, 100 points a model. And if you do the Castellan Phosphor Blaster, it's another 5. So double fists and flamer is 100, double fists, and the heavy Phosphor Blaster is still 100. Only if you want to go shooty and swap out a fist, it's going to cost you a little bit more. Still torn on what to do. I think maybe just going punchy may be the way to go. Dune Crawler, 115, and then for the Cognis Heavy Stubber, 5. So it's interesting, all the other guns are free. I would still, in most cases, probably take all the anti-air guns because they don't take a negative against ground units, and it's still 115 points. Ends up being like those 10 shots. And then the Disintegrator, 145, flat, no upgrades there. And Dedicated Transport, 95 points, pretty simple. Fuselage, which I think is the best, is 130 points, and then if you want that chaff launcher for 20. Stratoraptor, 160 points. Chaff launcher is 20, and then the Transvector is 110. So 110 for the Transvector, that only holds 6 guys, or 95 for the Dunewriter that holds 12. If you want to hold 12, it's going to cost you 220 points for the Archaeopter Transvector. Is it worth it? I don't know. Do you really need to deep strike something like that? We'll see. Alright, and then the back here, a little bit more art. You've got a glossary of all the terms. Tells you what pages to find them on. Real nice. And then again, a reference page for your Forge World keywords. Archaeotech, your Canticles, your Doctrinas, your Detachment abilities, Forge World dogmas, Holy Orders, Knight of the Cog, and your progressive abilities. And that's about it for the book. Oh man, I feel like I've been talking for hours. I probably have been talking for hours. Great book. I really like it. There's a lot to it. And for my game, before we played, I started working on a cheat sheet here to try to keep me in line and help me remember what goes on when. So like here, let me see if I can zoom in again. Boop, boop, boop. So start of the battle round, you gotta make sure you do your Canticles and your Doctrinas. And then the first battle round, you gotta make sure you remove your Raiders and your Rangers. Command phase, don't forget all those Warlord traits, your Holy Orders that all do something in your command phase. Call, you lead in prayer, the Lord of Mars, self-repair, the Manipulus, his galvanic field, techno-archaeologist, the Marshal, the Engine Seer, the Iron Striders, for their broad spectrum data tether. Your flyers, are you hovering or not? Your relics, the Techno Martyr relic, you still have to pick a unit to ignore the ballistic skill modifiers. And your movement, more Holy Orders, more Tech Priest stuff for your healing. The Datasmith, is he going to reprogram and change the protocols? The Archaeopter for his bomb rack. Your Lucius relic for that redeploy. You're shooting here for the relic in Agrippina, Elder Nicola's skull, Radium weapons, just kind of make myself remember that 6+ to hit, auto wound. Sulfur Hands, that they could advance and shoot pistols and assault weapons, and whatnot. Fleeting Barrage, fall back and shoot for the Sky Stalkers. Robots, Repulsor Grid, Invulnerable Save, and 6s Reflect. Electro Priests, the Volkite Blast, or Volkeist Blast. Remember that they, mortal wounds on the charge. Fight phase, I didn't really get that far, and then you probably need a whole nother sheet for your stratagems and what phase each stratagem is in. Alright, but until next time, guys, thank you so much. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me what I missed, and until next time, thank you so much. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Take care.